Listen very carefully, because what you're about to hear is not exaggeration, not hype, and not internet drama. What is bearing down on the United States right now is shaping up to be one of the most expansive and destructive winter storms in modern history. For some areas, this will be the worst winter storm they have experienced since the year 2000. We are talking about more than a week without power for some communities, snowfall exceeding 1 foot for tens of millions of people, ice accumulation capable of collapsing infrastructure across the South, and temperatures so brutally cold that nothing melts for days after this system finally exits. This is the most severe winter storm to threaten the southern United States since 2021, and we are now less than 48 hours away from the first impacts. If you live anywhere from Texas to the Carolinas, from Oklahoma to Virginia, from Arkansas to Pennsylvania, you are directly in the crosshairs. Winter storm watches and warnings now stretch from Arizona all the way to Virginia. Major population centers are included: Dallas, Houston, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, Louisville, Cincinnati, Charlotte, Richmond, Philadelphia. Millions upon millions of Americans are under active winter alerts right now. The size, scope, and severity of this event is extraordinary. What makes this storm especially dangerous is not just how strong it is, but how complex it is. Over the past 24 hours, forecast guidance has shifted dramatically north, then south, then partially stabilized. Even now, there is still uncertainty about who ends up in the worst ice and who ends up buried under snow. But here is the key message. Whether you land in the snow zone or the ice zone, this storm is capable of being catastrophic. There is no good outcome inside this system, only varying degrees of disruption. The atmospheric setup behind this storm is textbook for a historic event. A powerful, low-pressure system is entering the western United States through the subtropical jet stream, pulling in deep moisture and energy. At the same time, a surge of Arctic air is diving south through the polar jet stream. Where and how these two jet streams collide will determine precipitation type. If moisture falls into deep cold air, it becomes snow. If it falls into shallow cold air, it becomes sleet. If cold air is trapped at the surface with warm air above, it becomes freezing rain, the most destructive form of winter precipitation. Every ingredient is in place. The only question left is alignment, and multiple models show worst-case alignment for millions of people. Now let's talk timing, because this matters. Wednesday night and early Thursday remain mostly quiet for much of the country. By Friday morning, things begin to change. Freezing rain develops across the Texas Panhandle and western Oklahoma, initially light but enough to glaze roads. By Friday afternoon, cold rain dominates much of Texas, including Dallas and Fort Worth, with temperatures hovering near 3 degrees Celsius during the day and dropping below 0 degrees Celsius at night. Rain probability sits near 70%, but freezing rain probability rapidly increases by Friday evening as temperatures fall. Friday night into early Saturday is when this storm truly detonates. Snow rapidly intensifies across Kansas, eastern Colorado, and parts of New Mexico. Wichita sees highs near -6 degrees Celsius and lows near -12 degrees Celsius, with snow probability above 90% and totals reaching 8 to 10 inches. Oklahoma City sits on a razor-thin line, with snow probability around 70% and freezing rain probability near 60%. Tulsa becomes a battleground zone. Snow, sleet, and freezing rain all possible within the same night. Saturday morning, the storm expands dramatically. A massive freezing rain corridor stretches from North Texas through Arkansas and into western Tennessee. Dallas-Fort Worth faces a freezing rain probability of 70%, with ice accumulation between 1/4 and 1/2 inch likely. That alone is enough for widespread power outages. Little Rock sees highs near -1 degree Celsius and lows near -7 degrees Celsius, with freezing rain probability exceeding 80%. Snow probabilities remain lower here, but ice becomes dominant, and ice is far more dangerous. Saturday afternoon marks peak intensity. Nashville is now at high risk for a major ice storm, with freezing rain probability exceeding 70% and significant ice accumulation expected. This is no longer a snow-focused event for Middle Tennessee. This is an ice disaster scenario. Across eastern Arkansas, western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and northern Louisiana, isolated locations may exceed 1 inch of ice accumulation. 1 inch of ice is catastrophic. Trees snap, transmission towers fail. Power restoration becomes a long-term operation, not a quick fix. Saturday night into Sunday, cold air damming locks in across the southeast. North Georgia, upstate South Carolina, North Carolina, and southern Virginia face a crippling ice storm. Charlotte sees temperatures near 2 degrees Celsius during the day, falling to -3 degrees Celsius at night, with freezing rain probability between 70 and 80%. Snow is minimal here. Almost everything falls as ice. Travel becomes impossible. Power outages become widespread. Roads remain impassable for days. Sunday morning, the storm begins shifting east, but the danger does not decrease. Freezing rain continues across the Mississippi River Valley, while heavy snow explodes across the Ohio Valley and Northeast. Cincinnati, Louisville, and Evansville see snow probabilities above 90%, with totals between 10 and 12 inches. Indianapolis ranges between 6 and 9 inches. Kansas City sees 3 to 6 inches. St. Louis around 5 to 7 inches. By Sunday afternoon and evening, the Northeast enters the spotlight. Washington District of Columbia faces highs near -1 degree Celsius and lows near -7 degrees Celsius, with snow probability above 80% and totals between 10 and 15 inches possible. Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York City, and Long Island face major winter storm impacts, though coastal mixing remains possible. Interior Pennsylvania, West Virginia, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine are locked into heavy snow, with probabilities exceeding 90%. In the coldest zones, snowfall ratios could approach 20 to 1, meaning localized totals exceeding 20 inches are not just possible, they are likely somewhere. Now here is the part that cannot be ignored. This storm doesn't end when the snow stops falling. Behind it comes extreme cold. By Monday night into Tuesday morning, temperatures drop into the teens across North Carolina, single digits across Tennessee, and well below freezing across much of the South. Anything that freezes on Saturday will not melt on Sunday. It will not melt on Monday, in some areas not even on Tuesday. This prolonged cold dramatically worsens recovery efforts. Power crews cannot safely work on ice-covered lines. Roads remain frozen. Supply chains slow. For some communities, outages could last more than a week. There is a dangerous misconception that winter storms are about snow fun. For much of the South, this is not a snowstorm. This is an ice storm, and ice storms are silent disasters. You cannot drive on them. You cannot walk on them. You cannot fix damage while they are ongoing. All you can do is endure them. Preparation is no longer optional. Charge all devices, fuel vehicles, stock food and water that do not require cooking. Prepare for extended power loss. If you depend on electricity for heat or medical equipment, contingency planning is critical. Avoid travel once precipitation begins. This is not fear-based messaging. This is reality based on data, physics, and experience. This storm is imminent. Its impacts will be widespread, and for many Americans, it will be remembered for years. Stay alert, stay prepared, and do not take this system lightly, because it is coming with full force, and it will not forgive complacency. And now we move into the phase of this storm that many people underestimate, the aftermath. Because once the radar clears and the last flakes fall, the danger does not simply disappear. In fact, for millions of Americans, the most difficult part begins after the storm has already passed. As we transition into Monday and Tuesday, a deep Arctic air mass crashes southward behind this system. Across the plains, Midwest, and Ohio Valley, daytime temperatures struggle to rise above -10 degrees Celsius, while night lows plunge toward -20 degrees Celsius in some areas. Wind chills become life-threatening, dropping to -25 to -30 degrees Celsius in exposed locations. In these conditions, frostbite can occur in under 30 minutes. Any outdoor exposure must be brief, deliberate, and protected. For regions hit by ice, the timeline of damage stretches far longer than the precipitation itself. Ice-covered trees do not fall all at once. They continue breaking for hours, sometimes days after the storm ends. Power lines snap later. Transformers fail later. This delayed destruction is especially likely across northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, western Mississippi, western Tennessee, northern Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Power outages may actually increase after skies begin to clear. Road conditions will remain deceptive nationwide. During daylight hours, limited melting may occur where sunlight breaks through, but once the sun sets, everything refreezes. This creates black ice, invisible, deadly, and unpredictable. Bridges, overpasses, and shaded roadways freeze first. Many accidents occur during this phase, when people believe the storm is over. It is not. The outlook for hazardous travel extends through at least the middle of next week in many regions. Air travel disruptions will ripple across the country. Major hubs including Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, St. Louis,